If you were watching the show last night, you saw it happen in real time. If you missed it, I'm going to present it for you. Because I got an email directly from the White House right in the middle of the broadcast. Not through leaks, not through spin, an official memorandum addressed to every executive department and agency in the federal government. What it contained was nothing short of historic. President Trump, and the thing is, nobody's talking about this. We searched far and wide today. Who's talking about this memorandum? Nobody is. And I wonder why. We're going to find out why. See, President Trump just ordered the United States to withdraw from and defund 66 international organizations, including 31 United Nations organizations, climate compacts, migration forums, global governance councils, all of them gone. The checkbook slamming shut. You see, for decades, American taxpayers have funded, and you may not even know this, funded international organizations that have actively worked against American interests. Climate enforcement bodies that strangled our energy sector. Migration forums that pressured open borders. Global governance councils that told us how to run our country. We paid for the privilege of being lectured and undermined. That era is now officially over. The memorandum cites Executive Order 14199 and confirms that the Secretary of State completed a full review of every international organization receiving U.S. funds. After deliberation with the cabinet, the president made the final determination. Dozens of these entities are contrary to American interests. Now, Section 2 of that memo is the kill list. And when you see the names, you're going to understand why the global establishment's freaking out and why the mainstream media is silent. This is not symbolic. This is called execution. You see, when the global order shakes, you want to be standing on solid ground. That's why I trust my Patriot Supply. Right now, they've got a special deal on their 3-month emergency food kit. Save $100 while supplies last, over 2,000 calories a day for 90 days, real meals, not freeze-dried mush. Packed into sturdy buckets, lasts up to 25 years, made right here in the good old US of A. You're going to get fast free shipping, disaster replacement guarantee. Go to preparewithgary.com. Link down below. Get prepared. Get peace of mind. Now, I'm going to present to you some of what was axed. But what's wild is the fact that when we searched, we could only find an obscure news channel covering this topic. Really. Nobody wanted to cover it. And I will confirm to you right here, because I am in the White House press corps, that every single member of the White House press corps received the same email. They all got the memo. But none of them wanted to talk about it. So before we present the moment that it happened, because we did present it last night, but the fact is, some of you may have missed it. I want to make sure, because this is really important, that you do understand what's happening. But this is it. This obscure channel WION talking about it.
As is the United Nations dying in plain sight? Because the United States is once again stepping away from the very institutions meant to hold the international system together, raising fresh doubts about whether agencies like the United Nations still have a future. The Trump administration has announced withdrawal from dozens of international bodies, many of them linked directly to the United Nations. President Trump has signed an executive order suspending U.S. support for 66 international organizations.
Execute Order 66! That's what it is, folks. President Trump just issued Order 66. And he's going right after every single globalist. Okay, we're not. Okay, I understand the analogy doesn't necessarily work because Order 66 was issued by Senator Palpatine to go and kill all the Jedi. I understand that. I'm not comparing President Trump to the Emperor here, but the parallels are the same. Okay? Execute Order 66. Here's the moment it went down. Threats. I just got an email from the White House that is pretty remarkable, and I'm going to pull it up for you here so you can see it for yourself with your own eyes. This just came in from the White House to my personal email, as I am a member of the White House Press Corps, for immediate release. Memorandum for the heads of executive departments and agencies. Listen to this. Subject: withdrawing the United States from international organizations, conventions, and treaties that are contrary to the interests of the United States. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, I hereby direct Section 1 purpose. On February 4th, 2025, I issued Executive Order 14199, withdrawing the United States from and ending funding to certain United Nations organizations and reviewing United States support for all international organizations. That executive order directed the Secretary of State, in consultation with the United States representative to the United Nations, to conduct a review of all international intergovernmental organizations of which the United States is a member and provides any type of funding or other support, and all conventions and treaties to which the United States is party, to determine which organizations, conventions, and treaties are contrary to the interests of the United States. The Secretary of State has reported his findings as required by Executive Order 14199. Section B, I have considered the Secretary of State's report, and after deliberating with my cabinet, I have determined that it is contrary to the interests of the United States to remain a member of, participate in, or otherwise provide support to the organizations listed in Section 2 of this memorandum. Oh boy. Section 2. Consistent with Executive Order 14199 and pursuant to the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and laws of the United States, I hereby direct all executive departments and agencies to take immediate steps to effectuate the withdrawal of the United States from the organization listed in Section 2 of this memorandum as soon as possible. What is Section 2? We haven't even got there yet. For United Nations entities, withdrawal means ceasing participation in or funding to those entities to the extent permitted by law. For United Nations entities. What is Section 2? Here we go. My review of further findings of the Secretary of State remains ongoing. Section 2. Organizations from which the United States shall withdraw. A. Non-United Nations organizations. 24/7 Carbon-Free Energy Compact. Done. Colombo Plan Council. Done. Commission for Environmental Cooperation. Done. Education Cannot Wait. Done. European Center for Excellence for Countering Hybrid Threats. Done. Forum of European National Highway Research Laboratories. Done. Freedom Online Coalition. Axed. Global Community Engagement and Resilience Fund. Goodbye. Global Counterterrorism Forum. Gone. Global Forum on Cyber Expertise. Gone. Global Forum on Migration and Deployment. Gone. Inter-American Institute for Global Change Research. Done. Intergovernmental Forum on Mining, Minerals, Metals, and Sustainable Development. Done. Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change gets the axe. Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services gets the axe. International Center for the Study of the Preservation of the Restoration of Cultural Property. Done. I mean, this sounds like a wish list of these sounds like all organizations that are consumed with climate and, you have to do a cultural acknowledgement, a land acknowledgement. You see these ridiculous things. International Cotton Advisory Committee, they're getting the axe. International Development Law Organization, gone. International Energy Forum, International Federation of Arts, Councils, and Culture Agencies, gets the axe. International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance. Holy cow, this list goes on and on. International Lead and Zinc Study Group, International Renewable Energy Agency, International Solar Alliance, International Tropical Timber Organization, International Union for Conservation of Nature, Pan American Institute of Geography and History, Partnership for Atlantic Cooperation. I mean, this goes on and on. Regional Cooperation Agreement on Combating Piracy and Armed Robbery Against Ships in Asia. They're getting the axe too. Regional Cooperation Council, Renewable Energy Policy Network for the 21st Century, axed. Science and Technology Center in Ukraine. Yeah, that's where your money was going. Secretariat of Pacific Regional Environmental Program, Venice Commission of the Council of Europe, United Nations organizations. Holy cow. United Nations is getting defunded. What I just read to you were non-UN. Now we're going into the United Nations. The Department of Economic and Social Affairs, UN Economic and Social Council, the ECOSOC, Economic Commission for Africa, ECOSOC, Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, Economic and Social Commission for Asia, the Pacific, Economic Social Commission for Western Asia, International Law Commission, International Residual Mechanism for Criminal Tribunals, the International Trade Center, Office of the Special Advisor of Africa, Office of the Special Representative of the Secretary General for Children in Armed Conflict, gone. Office of the Special Representative of the Secretary General on Sexual Violence and Conflict, gone. Office of the Special Representative of the Secretary General on Violence Against Children, Peacebuilding Commission, Peacebuilding Fund, Permanent Forum on People of African Descent, UN Alliance of Civilizations. I mean, guys, this list goes on and on and on and on, all the way. So the implementation guidance, the Secretary of State shall provide additional guidance as needed to agencies when implementing this memorandum. Nothing in this memorandum shall be construed to impair or otherwise affect the authority granted by law to an executive department or agency or the head thereof. The functions of the Director of Office of Management and Budget relating to budgetary, administrative, legal procedures. Wow. Dude, President Trump just gutted the entire international community at 5:51 p.m. on January 7th, 2026, withdrawing the United States from international organizations, conventions, and treaties, contrary to the interests of the United States. So they reviewed all these organizations and found all of them to be contrary to the interests of the United States and gave them the boot. I just got an email from the White House that is pretty remarkable. Remarkable indeed. Giving them the boot. You're fired. President Trump has said goodbye to 66 anti-American toxic organizations, including 31 UN agencies. President Trump has previously withdrawn from the World Health Organization. The woke folks are outraged. Other countries should follow. Get us out of the UN. Never liked it. Team America has withdrawn from 66 anti-American international organizations. Let's see. CNBC TV 18. Never heard of that one. They covered it.
Because thank you so much for that. Well, yes, they will exit treaties or conventions with around 66 organizations. That's the word coming in from the White House.
You see, where's the domestic media on this? It's all international. It looks like it's Indian press. Only people covering this?
A lot of them which relate to climate change and energy transition as well. They plan to withdraw from several international organizations because it does not serve their purpose or does not agree with the policy of the US government as well. One of them is an Indian-based entity, which is International Solar Alliance, which is a global initiative which was co-founded with France by India in 2015 as well. The alliance is, of course, focusing on a lot of solar energy, the finance there as well, mobilizing technology and policy coordination majorly in developing countries. And it had been making...
So let the French, let the Indian pay for it themselves. Why do we have to pay for it? That's the point. President Trump killing 66 UN organizations, withdrawing the U.S. Nick Harper, SABC News, following this memorandum.
Even further. And if countries are not willing to fall in line with that, he is making it clear he is willing not to be a part of whatever they are selling. And therefore...
Okay, again, do you see this? This is all international coverage.
We're seeing the US withdrawing even further, retreating even further from this multinationalism. It's all about isolationism.
No, it's about America first, bitch. Get your facts right. America, baby. Go have your tea and crumpets, man, and get out. We don't need your commentary.
America First policy is really about doing things America's way. So the US carried out these reviews of...
Yep. America First, brah. Trump's January 7th executive order. Commentary from the socials.
Doing a speech over... Donald Trump has pulled the United States out of the UN, the United Nations. He's been doing a speech over in Florida where he says the US are no longer going to be part of the UN, they're not going to be funding it anymore, because he believes that they are funding the downfall of the West.
They are.
Now, there's been some pretty strong language in there. He's saying that the UK needs to also do the same. He is going 100% the way that he said he would. He says
that's why we voted for him. Such a waste. Trump pulls U.S. from 66 global orgs. Economic Times covering it.
The Trump administration is sharply scaling back U.S. involvement in global institutions, announcing withdrawals from dozens of international organizations. U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order suspending U.S. support for 66 international bodies after a sweeping review of global partnerships. Many of the affected organizations are tied to the United Nations and focus on climate change, labor rights, migration, and public health. The White...
Let's go! I'm here for it, baby. SABC News, more.
The multitude flows from everything that Trump has said, starting in his first term, actually, but then also through all of the multitude of executive orders that he issued in a flurry after he came to power at the beginning of last year and all the way through last year. But that document is actually quite important because it lays out the American strategy, and the American strategy is all about, as we've heard so often from Donald Trump, America first.
Yes. Okay. You got it right. Yeah. Not isolationism. America first. Appreciate you. The White House posting this. No more wasting taxpayer dollars on globalist agendas. The United States will leave 66 total, 35 UN and 35 non-UN and 31 UN organizations that no longer serve the best interests. You see, this was not like a press release, folks. This was not a campaign promise. This was a binding directive that ordered every federal agency to immediately effectuate withdrawal from 66 international organizations. No loopholes, no slow roll, no ambiguity. The United States, led by our commander-in-chief, Donald Trump, just told the international bureaucracy what Americans have wanted to say for decades: you do not speak for us, you do not rule us, and you will not be funded by us. Global media confirmed it within hours. India, Africa, Europe, Asia, they all saw it at the same time. But of course, the domestic press looked the other way. The globalist era just took a direct hit. You see, the American people have been paying to be managed by unelected foreign bureaucrats for far too long. Climate bodies that killed jobs, migration forums that pushed open borders, governance councils that treated American sovereignty as an obstacle to overcome. We funded them, we legitimized them, and we use our own money to undermine ourselves. Bye-bye. That's all over now. President Trump didn't just sign a symbolic withdrawal. He ordered a full cabinet-level review, identified 66 organizations working against American interests, and cut them all out in one stroke of a pen. 35 non-UN bodies, 31 UN entities, treaties terminated, funding severed, sovereignty reclaimed. The White House said it plainly: no more wasting taxpayer dollars on globalist agendas. So do you think these organizations, we should have left them sooner? Yes or no? Tell me in the comments. And show the world you stand by America by grabbing some gear from our merch shop. It's linked down below.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.